What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton, otherwise known as Data Dash, and today we have finally gotten around to doing the big interview we've been talking about on this channel. We have the man himself, Justin Tabb here, the Loot Solutions Architect at SUBSTRATUM. I've been talking about the SUBSTRATUM ICO for quite some time. It's one of the most optimistic projects I've seen in the ICO space, and I'm so excited to finally have him on here. Justin, thanks for coming on for the interview.
No problem, man. Appreciate you having me on. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so we're just going to basically, for the structure of the interview, everyone, we're going to go through and ask Justin, generally, what is SUBSTRATUM all about, kind of get a general sense of it. If you haven't already, I recommend you go watch the SUBSTRATUM the SUBSTRATUM video that we already did covering the ICO. As I said, it's one of the projects I'm relatively optimistic on, but Justin's going to give a little bit of a laydown of himself, maybe a little bit on his experience and the team's experience, what they're objectively trying to do with SUBSTRATUM, and then also we're going to go through and answer a lot of questions that we've gotten from a mix of the comments on my videos, the Slack group for SUBSTRATUM, and a bunch of other connections through the community. So, Justin, I'll let you take it away, talk a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the SUBSTRATUM project.
Sure, absolutely. So basically, I've been a software developer for a long time, probably a little bit older than most software developers out there, but I started a firm called Override Pro 13 years ago, 2004. We've been blessed to work with some really exciting clients over the past decade plus, including Apple, Hewlett-Packard, the NBA, Disney, Kodak, even a presidential campaign. So the list goes on. So in that time, we've learned, a great way to do a lot of things. Picked up a lot of good contacts, a lot of good people. So basically, the way we started SUBSTRATUM was just as a pet project, just to see if we could do it, just like everybody else out there. I think that's in the crypto space, the censoring that's going on really bothers you. And I really feel blessed that we live in the Western world where it's not as bad, although it's starting to get worse. Mm-hmm. But people in China and Russia and Iran, it actually drives me nuts that they don't have access to the same information that we have access to. So we actually started just trying to see if we could do something about that as hardcore backend developers, not designers, but hardcore backend developers. So we started over a few months putting together proof of concept to make sure that we could do it. And once we sanity checked it and said, okay, we really can do this thing if we had the funds to do it. And thankfully now, through cryptocurrency and through ICOs, through ICOs, basically, there is a way to fund that. I often remember talking to colleagues of mine that I wish I had been even a little bit older so I could have been around in the dot-com boom back in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Because I said, man, if I'd have been around then, I could have made so much money. I could have done something really cool like all these people out there did. And just so we're blessed to have the structure now through cryptocurrency with the ICOs, because it's that times 10. I mean, it's amazing. So we put it out there, honestly, just a crappy version of the website, just the idea that we had done, not knowing if we would get any traffic or any traction rather. And we did, just organically. People seemed to really like it. Some of the notes that actually came through were more encouraging than even the investments. You've had notes from Saudi Arabia, Iran, people with quotes about freedom. Mm-hmm. And so, we read more of those than people probably realize. And those things are very encouraging because, in fact, that's the reason we're doing this. I tell people, my life is pretty much on coast mode. I'm 36, I've run a successful software firm for 13 years. I've got a, beautiful, wonderful wife and 2 older kids. And my wife's actually pregnant with a 3rd now.
Awesome.
Surprise after 12 years. So it's pretty much on coast mode, grilled out every night, shot archery every day. So the reason I'm doing this is nothing to do with money. In fact, we locked ourselves out from having any SUBSTRATUM as founders until January when we released the first version of the product, because we just wanted people to know that that's how much we believe in it. So there's absolutely no benefit for us until that comes around. But the reason we're doing it is because we believe in what needs to be done. Obviously, a lot of other people do too. Tim Berners-Lee even has worked on this concept of the decentralized web. Not constantly, obviously, but through at conferences over the years. You can look it up and Google it, and you'll find that yourself. So it's something that needs to happen. It's something that we believe we have the absolute best approach for, and something that, given our experience, we believe we can accomplish.
Well, that's awesome, Justin. Talking about the decentralized web, and you're seeing all this optimism around the concept of it, especially from countries where there is heavy censorship. And to give you all a quick perspective, for example, a good one we always talk about is China. Some people can't get on basic social media sites. It's that bad.
That's right.
It's very, very censoring in that sense. So, talking about, proposing that solution, I've talked about a lot of different censorship fighters. For example, I've talked about Mysterium with the decentralized VPN. There's a few solutions popping up that are trying to fix that. But the real concept question I think we have to ask here is, why the decentralized web? What are the problems and the benefits associated with it personally? And why does it seem like it's the optimal solution to bring to the blockchain?
Yeah, so the answer to that is that it's has the fewest moving parts. So basically, and that may seem foreign actually, but so what we've learned over the years is that if stuff's hard, people won't do it. My big gripe with anything in crypto right now is it's too hard. For instance, this Saturday, actually, I'm taking time out. I'm going to my father's house and I'm helping him get set up to buy Bitcoin because he's wanted to do it for so long.
You have to help family members with it. It's that difficult.
Right. But my father's not a dumb man, right?
Yeah.
He's just, it's too hard. I mean, I remember when I wanted to start trading crypto, it took me a while to figure it out. I mean, it took me a few hours just to figure out, okay, first I go here, then I go there. Everything's it's far too complicated. So well, the VPNs are going to be banned in China and Russia. They haven't set an exact date yet, but it is coming up. It's in Wired magazine. You can Google the article. And we actually have that on our Twitter feed, I believe, as well. So you can check that out there. So I know with Mysterium, they're trying to do a decentralized version of the VPN, but the answer to that, in my mind anyway, and everybody has their own thought process, but in my mind is that for the average user, there should be no special software required to use the decentralized web. There's plenty of things that are right with the current internet that are wonderful about it, right? Google, I can go and I can type in and I can learn almost anything in 10 minutes, right? So we don't want to reinvent any of those things. We want to extend that benefit and fix what's broken. And so what's broken is that people in other countries can't see the same things that we can in the U.S. or in the U.K. What's broken is that and even within the U.S., there's starting to be more censorship. So those things are broken. So what we want to do is basically fix those things without putting too much burden of proof or too much burden on the end user, the average end user. So our solution works through the default browser. So you can pick up your Safari, Firefox, Chrome, Internet Explorer, your mobile device, and use SUBSTRATUM without ever even knowing you're using it. That's the way it should be. So in order to do that, though, you need people to participate. Well, in order to get people to participate, you have to incentivize them. So that's the whole reason for Substrate, right? So through Substrate, and all this stuff basically comes together on the blockchain where it couldn't 5 or 10 years ago, because to trade fiat currency is expensive, was difficult. There's so many restrictions on it. But now, through the blockchain, through combining the decentralization, combining the blockchain, you can take and you can say, all right, if you will give me your spare computer resources at night or during the day or whenever you want, for each request that is served, we will pay you X amount of Substrate. Now, don't ask me what that amount exactly is yet. We're still doing the math on that, but when we know, you'll be the first to know. Incentivized. So, awesome. So it's just all the things coming together at the right moment. We want to make it extremely easy. That, like I said, that's what we've learned through our years, and just where people can, in 3 clicks, be set up. With an account and start sharing their computing resources if they want to assist us, right? So it just seems to be the right time for it. Everything seems to be falling in place at the right time, just with the technology available. So it's very exciting.
Okay, so basically the only kind of application that people would ever have to apply throughout the entire use of Substratum as in the decentralized web would be simply setting up the Substratum node, which is where people give up their computing power to supply as a node.
If you want to do it, the only other exception to that is if you want to help us with our basically self-governing protocol. So, and all that'll be as a browser add-on. So it'll be an add-on for Safari, for Firefox, or for Chrome, where you can vote sites up and down based on, if there's a child porn site or a terrorism site. We want the internet to be free and fair, but we also don't want it to be. I want it to be somewhere where my kids can go.
There needs to be checks and balances. I agree with that. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But it should be governed by the people, right? Mm-hmm. Not by a government. So it shouldn't be up to the U.S. government or any other government to decide what goes up and what comes down. It should be a self-governed, self-regulated system, and so that's what we're working on, and that's what we're going to deliver. So
awesome, Justin. The one thing a lot of people always talk. We always talk about ICOs, about functioning technology and everything. You guys have been working on the development process right now. It's not set in stone and finished right now. But a lot of people were asking about: is there a prototype or initial bit of code that they can see, maybe on a website like GitHub, for the project?
So there is a proof of concept. So basically, we are not going open source until we've nailed down our encryption, our compression, and our machine learning, artificial intelligence pieces. We are going open source. It's in the documentation for the white paper. It's on the website. Awesome. It's just not ready yet. What we will be releasing, I hope, this next week is a new user experience interface. We have a designer, or the best guy I know working on it. And him and his firm. And so I'm really hoping that is ready, that we can drop that in a video later next week, before the ICO ends, just to give people a sneak peek inside what that's actually going to look like. Because the first version, as I said, was proof of concept done by hardcore backend monkey, code monkeys who couldn't design their way out of a cardboard box if they had a gun to their head, and myself included. So I learned very early. Yeah, I learned very early on that while I'm technically proficient in Photoshop, I know what keyboard shortcuts are and things like that. If you sat down and said, design a banner, I'm going to shoot you right now, I'd be in a lot of trouble.
I get you. I'm kind of the opposite. I can do design relatively well through Photoshop and Illustrator, but outside of like basic languages like HTML, CSS, and SQL, right, and you try to give me JavaScript, I sat down and tried learning like that. Oh, I did not pick it up very well. So I feel you on that.
Well, what we found, and I mean, I think anybody who's in technology can attest to this, is that you use two different sides of your brain to do one or the other. So either you're exceptionally good at one, exceptionally good at the other. Somebody told me it's a joke. There's some joke out there about it that basically it's like a unicorn, right? It's a Linux administrator who can design a wonderful product or something like that. And that's a mythical unicorn, and I think that's appropriate. So,
yeah, there's always
so that's basically,
you'll have your strong suits and stuff.
That's basically where that is. And so I mean, while the focus, of course, because we want it to be easy to use. So we want the user interface to be solid. The initial focus was just to make sure the underlying architecture that we could actually do it. Otherwise, there's no point in designing a user interface. So once we knew we could accomplish that, then we kind of got the ball rolling to do the rest. So
awesome.
So that's the chain of events there. But yes, we will be going open source. It's just not quite ready yet. So I'm sorry for everybody out there, but it'll give you something to look forward to.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see it. I think that's awesome. If y'all could get the video up sometime next week and stuff, I'll definitely cover it on the channel and stuff, because I've been meaning to see what the first, deployable version is going to look like. That's going to be really interesting. The other thing on the topic of what you all are working on right now, what are, in your honest opinion, what you've seen so far, the main challenges you're finding so far in developing Substratum as we move on? This is a very big concept of the decentralized web.
Sure. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So honestly, the biggest challenge to do it correctly, and this is where because we do have some other people out there who are trying to do it, because it is a valid concept, where they've fallen short, in my opinion, just take it for what it's worth, 2 cents probably, but is DNS, right? So DNS, domain name system, controls when you type in apple.com where your browser routes to, right? To actually hit that server to serve up the content for apple.com. So DNS needs to be upgraded. But the challenge is that without having any significant market share or having some, best friend that works at ICANN, you're not going to get that in until you basically have a good product that works and that basically gains market share. Then you have that influence to go and say, okay, now we serve 20% of the requests on the internet through our decentralized system. We want to help you upgrade the DNS system. Then you have some, basically you have some thrust there to say that you need to get that going. So the issue is, how do you get there when you don't have that done, right?
Yeah.
So basically we've come up with our own version of basically distributed combined with decentralization, a version of the DNS that will allow us to, in version 1, serve up requests, gain that market share, and then in version 2 be able to go through and say, all right, let's help you upgrade this. So that's the biggest challenge, but we believe we have the right approach to tackle it. We've proven that it actually works. We just need to scale it.
Awesome.
So that's the biggest challenge. The second challenge, and these are the three main things we're focusing on other than user experience over the next 4 months leading up to version 1, is encryption, right? So as soon as it's up, I give you the download link. You can start serving content. Everything has to be fully encrypted because we don't want even the guy that's serving the information off his computer to be able to peek in and see what's there. Okay. So that's challenge number 2. And then challenge number 3 is compression, right? So serving up these requests currently is very intensive. Some requests more than others. But so our challenge that we're working on is basically making sure everything is compressed down as far as possible to ensure that everything, while encrypted and while doing all the other things, is streamed out as fast as possible.
Awesome.
So that's our big 3 right now.
Yeah, no, that is one thing I was always worried about, is like if there would be like any intensive spikes if I had to supply like something for like a really high demand thing like Netflix or something like that. So I mean, if you all can nail those properly,
if we nail those 3 though, I mean it's which we will.
That's awesome.
But that's Netflix is of course the top end use case, but I don't want to go too far out and start dropping announcements that we're not supposed to yet. But just so you know, we are working on a video component because
really, that's awesome.
Because YouTube is being censored. I mean, I'm sure you know.
Yes, no, I feel it to no avail.
More than anything now, with the monetization being basically stopped, and they can say that I forget what they call it, but they can.
It's a controversial topic.
Filter you out, where you're not even popping up in search. So I mean, that is just that. I'll believe it or not, my wife is after me constantly. You need to rebuild YouTube. So not that we're going to rebuild YouTube, but we do have a video component in the works. And while we haven't fully announced that yet, just know that is awesome. Part of what is coming.
I think that's awesome. Yeah, for me, because I can tell you on the personal story, I've been continuously demonetized on my videos for the past weeks. Yep. And it's the way that they do limited or no ads. That's what they call it. But it's YouTube's way of continuously censoring out people who are talking about certain topics they don't deem fit, and they use the tag system and descriptions. So it's simple. They don't even analyze my content, and I always have to file it for review. But I mean, it's another topic for another time. But you're completely right on that. There is a lot of censorship on the web, and it's coming from a lot of the conglomerized companies like Google and Apple who dominate these markets. So I completely think you're right on that. So that's awesome.
Yep.
The one thing,
it's a long road. It's a long road ahead of us, but I mean, I really think that, it just so everyone knows what the word substratum actually means. It's foundation layer. So we already have, tons of concepts on top of this that are coming. This is literally the foundation for what we want to do. So yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. No, I think it is something you can keep building on over the years. And we've seen, with crypto communities like that where new coins come into the market, there's updates over time. A lot of people are like, what's going to happen when people find out to break Bitcoin? It's like, well, they've got a team continuously working on encryption and everything and updates. So yeah, I mean, as long as you guys keep updating and keep working on it, I'm excited for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, the one thing I was going to ask real quick is the role of the SUBSTRATUM token. So you talked a little bit about getting paid in SUBSTRATUM. Could you talk a little bit about more of the overall role of the tokens, and then also maybe describe a little bit about CryptoPay as one of the features of the SUBSTRATUM network?
Yep. so Substrate, just like Ether with Ethereum, Substrate with Substratum, is basically the currency that runs our system. So, as you're familiar, I'm sure the SEC in the U.S. has recently, basically strapped down on ICOs and said, and basically their ruling, which thank God actually came out in our favor because it was right before we were ready to launch the ICO, is that if the currency that you're launching is the fuel that runs your system, the same way Ether is to Ethereum, then you're okay to run as an ICO in the United States. So,
Awesome.
So that segues into the fact that basically it is the fuel that runs our system. So it's used in a couple ways. So, so the first being, of course, the transaction between the host. So if someone wants to host with Substratum, and then when the node renders a request, then basically a microtransaction is paid in Substrate, which you can then convert to whatever currency you want later on. The second way is, of course, and then basically we're partially profitable because we take a microtransaction or percentage off that transaction the same way Ethereum does with Ether, right? You're using our network. There's fees that cost to keep this up and going. So that's the way that actually brings value to the coin as an investor. So the second way is CryptoPay, which you talked about. It's something that we're launching on top of SUBSTRATUM. It's the first app, and it's the reason we packaged it in so that people could just see that we do have a roadmap going forward for additional applications. The first which being CryptoPay. So basically, what drives me nuts now is with everything that's in cryptocurrency, it's very difficult to buy things with it, right? So you've got a couple ways. You've got the BitPay plugin, right, that you can use on a lot of websites if they choose to do it. I think there's one out there, I forget the name off the top of my head, that does allow you to use some cryptocurrencies. But basically what CryptoPay will do is it's a payment gateway, just like PayPal, just like Stripe, just like Authorize.net, that allows you to check out using your cryptocurrencies. The way that's done, of course, developers have to use our toolkit to install that as a valid way of checking out on their website. But then once they do that, you can use any publicly traded cryptocurrency, and basically you can check out with it. So pretty excited about that. So within that, the way that's done is, so if vendor, me, right, wants to be paid in US dollars, and consumer you wants to pay with Litecoin, then we're going to use Substrate in between to basically make that conversion, and then to do the small transaction fee for ourselves. So that's the way we process the transaction. Awesome. It's basically the segue between the two. So that brings value to the coin as well, right?
So you use the Substratum tokens as kind of a gateway to get across there to the other. Right. Awesome. Yep. That's interesting. I've never heard of someone just kind of take that simple concept, but that's a really interesting way to implement that. So I think that's awesome. I was kind of curious with the CryptoPay system. I knew instantly what the node was doing. I got a visual sense of that, but that clears up a lot of curiosity I had around the payment system. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And so that is basically the base network will be out version 1 in January, right? Or end of 2017, beginning of 2018, January. And then CryptoPay is right around the middle of the year. We try to over deliver on everything, but I think if you go to the white paper, it's mid 2018 is the way it's written. So
awesome, cool. So we were talking about a lot of censorship in countries. We were talking about we've talked about China, we've talked about Iran. You had people in Saudi Arabia messaging you. On the question of censorship, is there any way a government can censor a certain website on the Substratum network if it were to fully launch completely successful? Is there any case?
So, well, let me start off by saying anything's possible. You have to stay ahead of the curve, of course, right? So the way I'll answer the question is with the current structure, no, there's not. Now, just like with VPNs, they're adapting and they're conforming, and they're saying, okay, we figure out a way to block that. So you have to be willing to continually stay ahead of the curve, right? So do I say, can they never, ever do it? The answer is yeah, they probably could someday, right? Yeah. But the way that everything exists right now, no, they could not. And will we continue working to make sure that they don't catch up? Yes.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Okay, cool. And real quick, let me see. So, you're talking about, Substratum tokens and stuff, and a lot of people could earn them. It's kind of like your version of minting in a sense by hosting out your web hosting on your computer. A lot of people are curious, could I just go out and buy it on an exchange? What exchanges are going to be on for Substratum? Where can I go out and buy sub coins?
So basically, we actually have a survey on our Twitter right now. So our main target is Bittrex, obviously, is the number one choice. Because it's pretty much, I know myself, that's the main exchange I use.
I love Bittrex.
Yeah, me too. I think they've, their UI could use a little bit of work, but everything else, they're just spot on. So, security and everything. So I love Bittrex. Originally, honestly, we had Poloniex on the list, but with all the drama that's been going on over there lately, we actually pulled it off. A, because they're very slow to add coins, and B, because there's just been so much bad buzz about them, people having a hard time pulling their money out, people waiting 45 days to get a reply, things like that. So it just made us nervous, and so that's actually the reason we had the survey out. So the other ones that are on the list are Yunbi, of course, for Chinese Chinese investors, and then two that we're playing around with the idea of that we've actually seen recent ICOs have a good build up with is Liqui and then Binance. So basically, they're very easy to get on. So we potentially could be on them the day after the ICO is over, which is what everybody wants, right?
Yeah.
And so we are potentially doing that. I won't commit and say we're 100% doing that, but those are the choice. We actually had Bitfinex on the list too, and we were going back and forth with them. But then the news recently that they're going to basically kick out U.S. investors, we decided to pull from them. So definitely Bittrex. Should be September, but not for sure because they are so slammed right now with the whole Poloniex thing going on. But definitely they're one that we will be on, and then Yunbi for Chinese investors, and then potentially those other two. If Bittrex looks like it's going to be a long lead up, then we will get on there quickly to make sure that people who've invested during the ICO can go ahead and trade if they wish.
No, I think you're on the money in the sense of. With Substratum going on to Bittrex first and foremost. I've consistently used Bittrex. I think that not only are they consistent, they've got wonderful security. I use the two-factor authentication on my account. There's just ultimate layers of security, and they store. I think they store the majority offline. I think they do some kind of hard storage. I'm not sure exactly on that, but I know Bittrex has multiple layers of security. I've never had an issue with it. So, and everything that seems to.
I think they're they're the best exchange out there in my mind. Again, my 2 cents, but
no. Well, Justin, that answers a lot of the questions here. We pretty much went through the entire list of questions, but I want to say first and foremost, not only am I excited about what you and the team are doing, I really appreciate you taking the time coming on here, talking about it a little bit, answering some questions, and it seems like you really get behind the message. I really appreciate that to see a developer really get behind.
Honestly, like I said, I think up front, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't believe in it. I'm working like a young man again. I actually joked with my wife because when I started my first business, she was pregnant with my daughter. Well, right around there. And then we went and decided to roll this out, and now she's pregnant again. I said, well, better hope I don't have any ideas in 10 years.
You can't have too many ideas. No, Justin, that's awesome that you're getting really ambitious behind the project, and you're adding on new people to the team. It's really awesome to see Substratum coming into life. I can't wait to see some of the alpha beta versions of it really come out to fruition and really see Substratum take off. I hope you nail every single government out there who's telling us, no, we can't go on any site we want.
Me too.
It should be a free world. The internet is an awesome place, and I think that Substratum really could be the key winner in fixing that. So, Justin, thanks again. I really do appreciate it. Is there any info you'd want to leave the video off with on checking things about
Substratum? So real quick, we're dropping a video every single day now with updates about Substratum on our YouTube channel, which also we tweet out. So you can go follow us on Twitter, follow us on YouTube, follow us on YouTube. And then additionally, we have over 2,000 members in our Slack channel, which you can get to on our homepage of our website. There's a little box that says join us and a little pound icon for Slack. Click there. It'll take you over. You can join. There's over 2,000 members in there. There's admins in there 24 hours a day. We have them in all different time zones. So if you have any issues, you can get that there. And there you can also sign up to be a beta tester too by joining the beta tester channel. So that pretty much, I think, answers pretty much most people's questions out there. But other than that, the ICO runs for 16 more days, I believe. So anybody that wants to get in, get in. We actually decided not to lower the price anymore because of the recent price raise of Ethereum. So we want to be free. We want to be fair with everybody. So we decided to actually keep the price, or you get a higher amount of substrate than you would have gotten.
Awesome.
For your investment. We actually are taking not only Ethereum and Bitcoin, but Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Ripple. So we have 5 different ways that you can get in.
That's awesome,
So,
Justin.
yep, that's all I can think of. But we're out there, and love to have everybody aboard. We appreciate each and every one of you because we sure couldn't do it without you. So thank you.
Well, that's very kind of you, Justin. Thank you very much. I'm glad you could come on. And everyone, if you haven't seen it yet, go check out SUBSTRATUM's website. Go talk, go talk with the Slack group. Reach around. It's a huge, great resource. The Slack groups are, I think, a very undervalued resource if you want to get information on ICOs and really quality information, because you're literally in a network of people who are hardcore fans of whatever ICO you're looking at. And with 2,000 people, you can't go wrong. So I think that's awesome. You got that set up, Justin. Well, anyways, I think that's going to be it for the interview. If you guys have any more questions, though, leave it down below. I know that they have a YouTube channel. Hopefully they can respond to some comments, and I'll try my best as well to get back to you all. And we'll try to really engage with you and really answer as many questions as we can. So thank you all for tuning in. Justin, thanks again for coming on, man. I'm glad we finally got to talk. It was really nice getting to meet you and everything. All right, everyone, that's it. That's it for the video. And thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Stay tuned.